Hey everyone, thank you for making it this far into week 6. I'm Sejal, and this session is about infrastructure as code. Basically, in this section, we'd be learning how to use Terraform to set up infrastructure for the same stream-based pipeline in AWS that you've tested before. I'm talking about this one. Let's revise it a bit. So basically, we'll have a set of Kinesis streams, both on the producer and the consumer side. We'll be having a Lambda as our prediction service, an S3 bucket for our model artifacts, and an ECR repository for holding the Docker image for the Lambda container. And additionally, a CloudWatch event that would trigger this particular Lambda once event arrives in a Kinesis stream. So you know the workflow. The events, that is the ride events, will arrive to your source stream in AWS Kinesis, and as and when these events come to this stream, the event processor Lambda gets triggered. This Lambda then reads records from the Kinesis input stream and uses the model from the artifacts bucket in S3 to generate predictions per event. And finally, these prediction events then get published to your Kinesis output stream after successful processing. So, yeah. But before we move on to that, there will be some prerequisites and setups to be aware of. So yeah, I've provided the details of that in the README, in the root section of the of the best practices directory, week 6 best practices directory. Excuse me. Yeah, so we'll be using the same AWS client that you may have already installed by now. You do not need to additionally install any updated version, but if you haven't done it already, then I'll provide the links to from where you can install it. You may also need, once you have it installed, you can check what version you have. We are not very bound on the kind of version you'll be using. 1 or 2, anything would be fine. Yeah. Apart from this, you will also need to configure your AWS secret key. So you can, if you do not already have it set up, then you can go to your IAM section. And in your users, in security credentials, you should be able to see your key here. This is only a one-time use thing, so you cannot re-download it multiple times. So in case you've lost it, then you will have to deactivate it and then create a new key again and then download it. And once you have it, you can configure it on your local using this command. And then to just verify it, just call the sts CLI command, and it will return an account ID or a URI associated to your account ID. Apart from this, if you also are interested in learning about Terraform and infrastructure as code, conceptually speaking, we do have some material from our previous Zoomcamp, the data engineering Zoomcamp, which introduces those topics and also gives you a basic hello world example, and explains the basic structure of how a Terraform project is actually written with respect to the main.tf, variables.tf, and running basic commands like Terraform init, plan, apply, etc., and how exactly what happens behind the scenes in relation to that. To preserve the scope of this particular session, we won't be covering all of these concepts again. But if you're interested, you can go through them in much detail through these links. And we'll just provide you enough context in terms of using it to set up this particular pipeline within the scope of the session. All right, and moving on, this section will be around setting up the stream-based pipeline infrastructure in AWS using Terraform. So we'll be covering some concepts, some advanced concepts in Terraform about what are modules and what are output variables and how to use them. We'll be building the components for ECR, Kinesis, Lambda, and S3 as our architecture needs. And we'll be demoing applying this Terraform infrastructure that we've created to our use case. We'll be manually deploying it and then testing it all locally. And in the next section, which is the CI/CD part, we'll be automating all of these steps, including the tests from the previous sessions into our CI/CD pipeline. We'll be talking about that in the next video. So yes, stay tuned. Another thing that I forgot to mention, but it's already updated in the GitHub README, is where to download the Terraform client from. So based on your OS or package manager, you can find it here.